Welcome to LOA Today. I'm Walt Thiessen. With me today is the effervescent Bridget D. This is your daily dose of happy. We are so happy you decided to join us today. And we're especially happy because we have a special guest, Luq Murtaza from the TYA Mentor Extraordinaire Coach and Training is joining us on the program today. And it's been great to see you in the live stream among the audience. It's even greater to bring you onto the show. So, hey, Luq, how you doing?
Yes.
Hey, I'm so excited. Yeah, I love chatting with you guys while I watch. So it's surreal to be on here and be talking to you. So I'm excited. Hello.
Hello.
I know. I love that you're here. I want to be a mentor too. So I love that you are one. Like, do you love being a mentor? I'm assuming for you.
It's amazing because after I did the TYA practice, I kind of sort of drifted away back to life and you kind of forget. And then being a mentor is what kind of got me back into it because the journey of the boot camper reminded me of my stuff. So I was reminding them of like, oh, this is what I did at that time. So it kind of got me back into the TYA community actually. And then I started engaging more and like now I'm learning to be a coach. So I'm excited. Like I'm leveling and I've been leveling up since like becoming a mentor. So being a mentor was more just for me to kind of get back into the TYA community, also get back into my practice. And since then I've leveled up a lot more. So it's exciting. So you'll love it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It is awesome.
It super is.
I also am curious, is mentoring from your perspective easier than coaching?
Yes, it is. Because mentoring, basically I'm just sharing my experience. And as a coach, we actually have to get in there and actually even have assigned homework and like, have follow-ups and stuff. But when we're mentoring, it's just kind of like it's you guys, the boot campers journey. And we're just kind of there to kind of hold your hand and just kind of like not be too much involved, but kind of like be there for you just in case, like if there's questions or whatnot. But as a coach, that's like when you're dealing with somebody who's like struggling a lot and actually DTS is the term that we use when they're down the spiral and they need a one-on-one session. So that's when they go have like a coaching session. And that's what I'm learning to be right now.
So what drew you to the coaching then?
Actually, because like it's just getting more into the practice and learning as much as I can and learning with the other coaches. I'm still in like we're having meetings each month, every other. It used to be every week, but now it started going each month. But we're practicing mentoring each other. There's some people that are in the coaching group that are masters now. So at first I used to get nervous. I was like, oh my gosh, they like went through a lot more of the TYA stuff than me. So I don't know if I could even like do that. But then it's just practice. Like let's just coach each other. And then once we graduate out of the coaching system, then we'll be able to coach actual boot campers. So since the coaching thing, I feel like I'm leveling up more and more and more. So the TYA experience doesn't end. You just keep on going further. So it's exciting. I love it.
You're basically endorsing what so many in the coaches have been saying over and over again in the boot camp. It keeps getting better every day. Just when you think you've reached a new high, it goes higher. And it goes higher and higher and higher.
100%. I agree.
So do you also agree that there's no limit?
Oh, definitely. There is not a limit at all. Like there was things that I thought I had like detuned and worked out through my like when I went through it first time. And then I kind of like, it's just like you kind of like peeling a layer of an onion. Like you just kind of detune a little bit and then there's still something in there. So as we level up, like those things that are like maybe before we weren't ready to deal with yet, but we're still kind of peeling that layer. But then as I'm evolving and questioning and having internal conversations and connecting with my own version of the stream, like I feel like I'm starting to have my own, and I feel like I'm getting I'm kind of becoming a TYA master without actually going through mastery by having these conversations and coaching some mastery people. So it's just like I'm learning more and more about myself as I do more of this all these different things. So I'm loving it.
It's like
I
most of the
find
amazing experience, I feel like, is when you learn so much about yourself and you're like, oh, you know?
it really is. Like, I kind of consider myself a recovering coward. Like, I was such a scaredy cat. Like, I would like what is it, doormat? Like, I would be a yes person. Like, I just wanted to
Like a people
please
pleaser? Were you like a people pleaser?
people pleaser.
Yeah, me too.
Love to
Okay.
people like
Yeah.
they're
I
happy,
feel like that.
that makes
Yeah.
me happy. So that was always my
Hmm.
thing. Like, oh, okay. So I never even looked at what I wanted, and I didn't even realize. And I thought I was always happy because that made me happy. And I didn't know anything about myself until I did TYA. Like, I didn't realize there was so much magnificence inside of me. I was always trying to please others, but I was like, no, like, I need to please me. And since I stopped pleasing others, like, I don't even have to try. And I'm just, everywhere I go, I have the most easy conversations, connect with everybody and anybody, and less fear. I used to have social anxiety. Like, I've been invited to parties. I remember going to the party, driving up there, sitting in my car for half an hour and leaving. Like, I don't have the balls to go in there. Like, I can't. And now I just walk in and I was like, I don't know if I know anybody or not. I'm just gonna go focus on me, and people come to me. I was like, oh, okay. So I don't even have to try anymore. It's just like everywhere, life just seems easier now. Like, you just, people are smiling. I went and played bingo with some friends. I'm winning like lottery ticket and money, and I'm just like, oh my gosh. So like everything that I'm trying to like focus on, like each, like I'm going through different phases. So like I went through like focusing on resistance. What am I resisting? What am I resisting? And I did a meditation where like financial stress was one of my things. Even after going tired, like it's just something. Why am I resisting that? And I did one of my meditations just showed me this vision of all these doors, and only one door was open. And I was like, what is that? So I was confused. So I go and look at that door, and it was a door that said like income or like work paycheck. And I was like, oh shoot, that's the only door I have open right now. And there's these other doors. So I just visualized all of them just opening up. So I'm just like, let me see what the next one is. Like, what does that say? And it just says random. And it was just like, oh, that just means random money flying in. So like again, so there's all these doors open now. So again, I was the one who had the resistant closing, maybe think I wasn't worthy of experiences or luxurious or whatever it was. But when these doors open, like I remember I went to like bingo that night and I won like they had a gift card for that space. So like all the drinks from our table, like I was like, okay, well that was paid for. And then the other bingo that I won, there was like a lottery ticket, and that I won some money off of that. So I was like, oh, there's that random money that I just literally opened the door for. So here's that proof that I literally just did it. So learning just to like enjoy the end process, if you will. So like winning, like when I was playing bingo, each number I got, I just like was like, oh, and I felt like that vibration of thrill and excitement. And I wasn't even thinking about winning prizes. I was like, oh, it'll be fun to win. This is so cool. And
Yeah.
just winning. And then even the ones that I won, like other people might have won before me and I didn't get the prize, but I still won. Like it wasn't about the prize, it was just feeling the win. So I was like, oh, I'm learning to like use these tools like on a regular, easy basis. So being a mentor and coach just allowed the tools to just become a regular part of my life without me realizing it. So it's really it's been kind of it's been fun just doing like everyday things with TYA tools.
That
That's
is
so amazing.
fabulous.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's great. I
Yeah.
love it. And by the way, you were kind of taking me back to when I was quite young and had the exact same anxieties about going into parties and so forth that you described. Literally, I would do the same
Yeah.
thing. I would sit in the car. I would decide whether or not to go in. I would talk myself out of it more times than not. I know exactly what that feels like. It's a heck of a
And I
place
was
to
like,
be in.
it is. And now we think back to it, it was like, what were we scared of? Like, I don't even remember. I don't remember what the fear was because now when we go in, it's so easy. But at the same time, I do remember there was times that I did force myself to go in, but I would be there for 5 minutes. I was like, okay, that was good enough for me. I gotta go now. Like, I gotta go back to my comfort space, my home, my TV, my
Mhm.
couch. I'm good here. And now it's like somebody messages me, hey, we're all having a party. You want to come through? Okay. It's just like I don't have time to myself that much anymore because I'm always like here and there anywhere now.
So
Interesting
Taya gave
problem.
you like a huge like self-esteem. Like that's it. It did that for me. It sounds like it did exactly did that for you. Yeah.
Very much so. You find yourself. One of the biggest takeaway for me was finding my self-worth because I
Yeah.
didn't ever allow myself to feel because I come from I come from Pakistan, so like a conservative Muslim background, and we're taught to just serve, and I was the youngest of three brothers, so like I was always like you always have to serve your older. So I've always that's where that yes kind of personality came from. I if like let's say if my oldest brother told my younger brother, the second oldest, to do something, he could therefore pass that to me because I'm the youngest, but I couldn't pass it to anybody. So I was used to just always taking the last, what nobody else wanted to do, I had to do. So that was part of that's part of the things that I remembered from, okay, that's the culture that I came from.
Yeah.
And then another thing that was just like being Muslim, and also, I mean, I'm also gay, so like I never accepted that until I went through
Wow.
TYA. Like once
Wow.
I was in TYA, that's when I finally accepted it. And now I'm just, that's another thing, like another burden I'm not carrying anymore, trying to be straight, trying to like fit into the normal society or be a perfect Muslim. Because yeah, I did the whole arranged marriage. I got married, and I was like, it's a thing that's gonna go away. But just doing TYA, literally, I didn't do any work. Like everything literally made universe, if you will, just set the carpet or the road for me to just kind of walk on, and everything just kind of been aligning. So like I don't feel like I've done any work. It's just been happening, and I'm just enjoying the ride.
And yet you did do a lot of work. I mean, what you just
Yeah.
described, that's a
Mhm.
ton of work to work through. I'm not saying that you had to put your nose to the grindstone. Okay, we got to do 40 hours this week. Not that kind of work, but it's work, and it's very intimate work. I mean, you're basically, in a sense, for a while, you're crossing swords with yourself, and you're trying to make peace with yourself. That's part of what you're trying to
100%.
accomplish. And you did on some, I mean, those are a couple things right there. First of all, coming to a country where Muslim is very much in the minority. Second of all, being gay, having the two together at the same time. Woo! Kudos to
Yeah.
you, my friend.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's
No, it
huge.
wasn't easy. I remember the journey being young, and there was still a lot of stuff I had to detune, and a lot of it, like a lot of forgiveness for parents and all that. Taya just helped me get through all of that. And I think those things that I was holding on to, where were those things were what were keeping me back. But
Mhm.
now, like finding appreciation and forgiveness for the whole experience, all of that is what made me who I am today. So like
Yeah.
everything, all the bad things are what allow me. So I think those bad things allow me to understand the other person's perspective a little bit more. So like I've always been really good at putting myself in another person's shoe, and now I can see it in a different perspective now. From you know, like sometimes I can even like use the source's perspective to see an experience, and that is a great perspective to have because it's
Mm.
always gonna come down to love.
Like
Like
a past
end
experience
result
with
is source loves or current. Like earlier this year, I went to Pakistan. So another part of the my story that I'm dealing with is I have a daughter, and my ex-wife and I, we've separated, but she won't let me see my daughter because I'm gay. So she's like, I don't want gay influence around my daughter, and I'm she's my daughter too. So they are in Pakistan. So earlier this year, I flew there to go see my daughter, but my ex-wife reported me to the police, and you can't be gay in Pakistan. It's illegal. So she like accused me of like breaking and entering her house. So the police comes to my house. They called me to the police station. I go in, and I did drag like way before I was even married. It was just like a Halloween party, and I'm just sitting there, and they present this picture of me in drag, and they're like, "Who's this?" And I was like, "Oh, that's me." And then they started like interrogating me about like my sexuality, and I was like, "What's happening?" I got
oh no.
invited here for breaking and entering, and I'm all like confident I didn't break and enter. Like there's nothing there, so I had no clue that's what they were calling in me for. And I go there, that's what they're doing. So like at that point, like being sitting in the situation to just sit there and meditate, like do perspective, I would keep calm, and like I didn't even think about my life being in danger. But when I came back to America and I rewatched the whole experience, I was like, my life was in danger. They could have killed me, and it wouldn't have been a big deal. Like, oh, he was a fag. It's not a big deal.
Gotcha.
And I didn't even.
Yeah.
My perspective was always just like love, and I'm here for my daughter, and it allowed me to just float through the experience. Where
Yeah.
by the end of the thing, the police people who are like accusing me of all this are like, oh, you're a lion. You're just dealing with this. Like, and I was like, oh, I don't know. I don't remember how, but then everybody's reaction to me was like, how are you able to stay calm? And I was like, I don't know. I just like trusting that it's gonna work out, and it's just working out, and that's I don't know. Again, for me, the breathing allowed me to see this whole experience, even like her family, where like I should have been like very hateful towards them, like why would they, and I'm smiling at them every time I see them, because I'm like, these people are taking care of my daughter, so I have nothing but love and appreciation for them. I'm only upset they don't want me to see her, but again, at least my daughter's getting nourished, and they're taking, so love and appreciation to you, but I want to see her still. But that perspective wouldn't have been, I wouldn't have been able to see that. I'm sure if I wasn't a TYA student, I wouldn't have been able to see any of that in that perspective. I've definitely would have been a victim, a gay person, blah, 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 blah. No, like, it's her journey. It's my journey. Maybe she needs to, her mother manifested her. She needs her more right now. And this is allowing me to work on myself. And when we reunite, it's going to be a very powerful experience. And I'm looking forward and excited about that.
Right. This is really
That's
a
beautiful.
fantastic story. Yeah, just a fantastic story. Because really, what you're doing is you're demonstrating for us what happens when you achieve that level of total trust. That is one of the key factors that you learn in the TYA boot camp. But you actually had to you had to do it in the real world in a hardcore way, a way that most of us don't ever have to face. I mean, like you said, your life was literally on the line, and yet you managed to maintain your perspective in that. My friend, you're far beyond boot camp. You're a master already.
I know, right? Yeah.
That is mastery.
Yeah.
Thank you. Wow. Yeah, I mean, now that I talk about it, think about it, like, yeah, it gives me chills to kind of, realize the tools that I always, like, again, we use these tools, and when I was in it, I think part of it was like, you know what? I created this. Maybe I was bored with my life. I remember I was telling my brother, my life is not interesting. I have like no exciting stories to tell. Like he would always, so I was like, you know what? Maybe I created this reality so I could overcome it and talk about it. And here I am talking about it. So at the time of even like, I realized this is like, when we say like we're living our previous thoughts. So like the whole mirror thing, like I created this, so I know I can take care of it or can handle it, or this is my manifestation. So, and then I even got the TYA on my I don't know.
I love that.
Because I used to always write it on my hand, and just looking at it just uplifted me. So I just got the tattoo. I was like, I don't even have to write it on my skin anymore. So I just look at it. The connection between just the letters, the trust is there, and that reminds me of connection with stream, and the stream's literally always there. All I have to do is think about them and click, we're connected.
One of the things that your story is reminding me of is I've interviewed many people over the years from who came to what I'll call conscious creation, not just TYA, but any kind of LOA type conscious creation circle, from varieties of religious backgrounds: Christianity, Islam, Buddhism, Hinduism, various modalities. And each one had his or her own story about how much they ended up moving away from what their religion used to be, and how much they retained some of it, retained elements of it. And I'm curious, in your own spiritual ideas, your own spiritual practice, have you retained any of your Islamic background?
Islam literally means peace. So like the positives of it are good, because the time Islam came into reality, or I guess us was like, at that time, people were barbaric and, killing and murdering and raping and stuff. So like the message was sent out to like bring peace amongst people. So like that's one of the things like I always talk about, even like when I go back in Pakistan. Over there I couldn't really talk about the stream. So like, when I would talk about the stream, I would just replace the word stream with Allah, because the message is at the end of the day same. This is what Allah wants. And when I would talk about Allah again, I'm talking about the stream, and then I get passionate about it, and that energy kind of vibes off, and people are listening to me. So I think that was another thing that really helped me, because I talked about Allah the whole time I was there, right? So like these people are super religious, and me being gay and also like being disconnected to Allah, like that confused them. They're like, you're a good person. Like they're like, you're not gay. They would tell me I'm not gay, but because I'm like, fine, believe what you want, but yeah, like we're all connected to God and God is Allah. So like I still use the terminology. I still say like like the terminology like mashallah every time you see something beautiful. I still say mashallah, which means praise to Allah, like, God created or whatever. Those things are stuck with me. Inshallah, anytime I say that, that's like, when you're setting intentions for something, inshallah, God will allow this to happen. So those words, literally, I still text them every time I talk to my mom, my brothers, my siblings. Those aspects have stuck with me, and I feel like they probably will be with me always.
I would imagine so,
Yeah.
especially with the background. I mean, you don't really want to reject the background. That wouldn't be true to the Thai practice. You want to find
No,
where you
not
can
at
appreciate
all.
it. And to be perfectly honest, there is a lot in Islam that can be appreciated. I'm no expert by any stretch of the imagination, but I've read large portions of the Quran translated into English, and I'll tell you what, Christians have a lot to answer for it in comparison, because there's an awful lot of really good stuff in the Quran.
Yeah.
There's some stuff I'd rather
There's
leave
a lot of
aside, but there's also a lot,
similarities.
and there are a lot of similarities. Well, they come from very much the same background. I mean, they both descend from Abraham, so
Yeah,
yeah, it's really interesting.
exactly. And I think that's what makes it easy to have those conversations, even because I was surprised being able to talk about TYA, quote unquote, with such, not to be judgmental, but people in Pakistan are very like in a box and very close-minded,
Mhm.
and just to their, like, not open to any other ideas other than what they are brought up with. So incorporating my message with like stories of Islam, we're able to, again, that's what allowed me to kind of come back here alive, was because he's connected to God. Like, so like Allah, like I would just say this is what God wants. I'm not saying I'm connected to God, but I would just say this is the message, and like I would be able to have conversation with anybody and everybody.
That's valuable. That's really valuable, because what you're really doing there is you're building bridges that didn't exist before.
Yeah.
That's
You
true.
probably
Yeah,
don't think of it,
That's
but
true,
that's what
yeah.
you're doing.
Yeah, I didn't until
I
you said
really
it. Yeah.
didn't. And then also, I'll be the first outed gay person in my whole family, because like she outed me before
Mm.
I even went there. So that's one of the reasons. Even some of my gay friends here were like, you shouldn't go. It's not a safe space for gays over there, especially since she outed you. I had death threats and everything on my Facebook, but
Mm.
I don't know. I just wanted to see my daughter. Like, none of it scared me. I just trusted. Like, I'm gonna go, and I did. I did end up getting to manifest like one visit with her, but that was the visit they kind of set up. Like, we met her, and then my ex-wife was like, "You're allowed to come see your daughter anytime." And so like the fact that I even manifested that was just beautiful. I have pictures, videos. So to kind of remind
Nice.
her, hey, I'm still
Yeah.
here. I still care for you. I'm still, like, no matter what they're saying, I'm here. Like, so she got a little bit of that. So I was happy for that.
Yeah. I mean, just coming out of it alive is a major accomplishment, but coming out of it, in addition to being alive with all these new connections that you made, is just, well, it's like Samuel said in the live chat, it's inspiring. It's
Yeah.
truly
Hi,
inspiring.
Sam.
That takes a lot to do that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. appreciate that.
So you should be proud of yourself.
But
That's
how
really good.
about you guys? I feel like I'm taking up. You guys, how's your TYA journey going?
No,
You
we
guys are
like
both,
hearing we like hearing about your TYA journey. Me and Walt talk about ours all the time. You're our guest today. We like hearing about yours. You are very inspiring
that.
in so many ways. Yeah.
Mine is actually
I
coming
appreciate
to
that.
my boot camp journey is coming to a close today because I have my meeting with David after we do this show today.
Do you really?
Yeah, so there'll be an
Oh,
announcement.
get out.
Yeah.
Oh,
We'll have a little
congratulations,
celebration
Walt.
for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be good.
Nice.
The interesting thing that has happened here on the show too, now that we have had more and more people come through who were part of TYA, some of our audience have become TYA members. Bridget, you were one of those people. The TYA influence has become pretty strong on the program. It's not the only influence because we draw from a lot of different sources, but it's been a really great one. And I'm kind of it's kind of obvious that the influence on you has been extremely strong. But you mentioned early on in your description of your own journey how you really didn't have a sense of self, and you attained a sense of self through the TYA bootcamp journey, through the struggle and the lessons and so forth that you learned there. And I'm curious because I remember what it was like for myself back when I didn't really have any self-esteem, and you were describing the same kind of thing for yourself. When you finally started to discover yourself, what did you find? I know that's hard to describe, but can you itemize or describe anything that just stands out about, wow, I discovered this about myself and I liked it?
So what pops in my mind right away when you asked that question was I was very curious about my childhood because I was trying to remember because I most of my childhood before TYA was all in America. Seems like I've forgotten all my reality in Pakistan. And when I started questioning that, I was like, what was my life like in Pakistan? Like, what kind of a kid was I? And I was reminded that I was an idiot basically because I would not attain any information from school or any religious practices, and I would get beat up by the teachers. So I got the clarity that was child abuse. But again, in my mind, I'm thinking I was just an idiot, and that's what they were telling me. You're brainless. You're an idiot. So this whole time I was thinking that, and then later on, like again, when I'm trying to like, no, I think, oh, I did a radical appreciation session with Holly. So that's just and like this is deep depth meditation that she takes you on a journey. So through that, I discovered like I literally went back in time to that time when I used to get beat up and stuff. And I got clarity. I used to get beat up because I was rebellious. Like I didn't like the way they taught us. And like all the education was just a memorized thing rather than understanding them. Like for example, like we had to learn to read the Quran in Arabic just to read it, but we weren't taught how to understand it. So maybe I questioned it and I was just into like that. So like that gave me clarity. I wasn't an idiot. I was kind of ahead of my time at that time, and they beat the control back into me. So that gave me clarity. Like I've always been that, but I had to like society had to control, mold me into a specific way, and I did allow. And I resisted it at first. I literally had to get beaten it into me. But that beating, like at first it was I got that clarity from like a therapy session, and it was very victim mode. But then I was like, no, that doesn't resonate with me because like I don't know. But then when I did that radical appreciation session, we actually stayed there, watched it, and I was like, oh my gosh, I was a badass. Like I did not listen to nobody. I just did my own thing. I have this scar, and now like I have like a pride for this scar because before I used to be like I was an idiot and I just fell down the stairs. No, I used to be running everywhere. Everybody was like walk, and I would run, put your shoes on. I would be barefoot. I did everything I wasn't supposed to, and accident. I fell multiple times, and now I have scars. So I was like, you know what? I like that story better than me being an idiot and falling. So that sense of just like I used to be a brave kid, and now I can still be that, and reconnecting with that was just like it was always there. It was just kind of hiding.
That's a great way of describing it. It was always there, just kind of hiding. It reminds me of a story that my wife told me shortly after we met, how she recalled at roughly the age of 10 or 11, in her family, the lack of acceptance she had in her family was her father was officially the smart one in the family. Like that was the rule. That was the family rule. And she could never measure up to that. None of her siblings could, but especially she couldn't measure up to it. And she felt herself being squashed by that box that you described. So she remembers literally hiding herself away. She remembers going through a little action of some kind and just hiding herself away to protect herself until a later time when she could come out, which she did later on after she became a full adult. That's what I was thinking about when you described how you were dealing with this rather horrific experience that you were going through. It's like you were protecting yourself.
Yeah, she took me back to the time, like I went back and saw little Luke experiencing, and she's like, all those feelings that you felt, they're valid, be there for him. And then we changed like the whole scenario, and I'm very visual, so I was able to see like these, like that little change, how that change changed the rest of my life until now. And I was just like, oof, that was just mind-blowing.
Yeah. By the way, he's talking about Holly Liu, who's one of the coaches in the TYA program. She's one of the official parts of the TYA boot camp course schedule. And it's interesting to do a schedule with, or to do a session with her, simply because she essentially leads you down into what they call the shadow work. I mean, that's not what TYA calls it, but that's what it's often called in the greater conscious creator world. It's called the shadow work. And I love her approach to it because I've talked to a number of people about so-called shadow work, and her approach is basically you're not really actually doing any work. You're just letting go, letting go, letting go, letting go. It's a very simple, straightforward way of dealing with shadow stuff, which is dark stuff from your past that you're still hanging on to. I love that part about it. So I just wanted to mention that, and a little shout out and kudos to Holly, because she does a great job for the TYA community as a whole, and for the people in the boot camp. So
I agree.
You've come
She's
through.
amazing. Yeah.
She is amazing. Yeah, she's terrific. So you've come through the boot camp. You've come through a what could have been a traumatic trip to Pakistan. You're back here in the U.S. You're on the mentor trail right now. You're seeking becoming a coach. What else is on? What's in Luke's future? What? Because now you've started to identify what it is that you want. What else do you want in life?
So after I came back from Pakistan, I was a little bit depressed about the whole experience, and then that lasted a little bit again. I was like, okay, let's go on. So I started playing with relationships. I've never allowed myself to be in a relationship with a guy before because I've always run from it. So I started playing, and then that kind of happened with me helping a friend who was kind of down about not manifesting a boyfriend or anything. So I started playing a game with him. Let's just make up imaginary boyfriends. You have one, I have one, and we'll just talk about our imaginary boyfriends, and not like what he looks like or how it feels when he touches your hand, or how he feels when we go to the movies, the feeling of it. And then we'll like give him, and then we started talking about, so we started playing this game. 2 days later, I meet my ex-boyfriend now. I mean, again, I manifested the whole experience, but he was literally, as I'm like, again, I was surprised because I wasn't even thinking about myself. I was helping him. And I ended up getting into this wonderful, beautiful relationship. Like my first time ever falling in love with a boy. I was just like, wow. And he liked me back. And it was just such a beautiful, like, okay, I was like, okay, finally I get what love songs are about. Finally, because again, I was trying to date women, and I never felt it. I was just like, I don't think I was always told you're kind of a stone heart, you're not romantic. And I was like, I don't want to fake I love yous. I want to feel those things. So I never said any of that to anybody because I was never romantic. So I just kind of told myself I'm not romantic, right? So this happens, and I'm understanding these love songs, I'm understanding what everybody's saying, and it's just a beautiful relationship. And then he ends up moving away, so we're trying the long distance thing. And it's cute and all for a while, but that doesn't really work out for us that much. But I got to experience like the breakup, like, I got clarity. Okay, you know what? This was beautiful when it lasted, but I literally, I think, wanted to just experience what love felt like, but maybe I wasn't fully ready for a relationship. I don't know, but whatever happened, like I have so much appreciation for the whole thing. We're still good friends. We broke up. He's, in Louisiana. I'm here in Ohio. Keep in touch. But the fact that I was able to play with creating a boyfriend and actually creating one and experiencing the relationships. And now I'm here like open to like dating and more. I'm less scared of going out with guys now. Like now I'm exploring the relationship realm. So now that I had that experience, now I'm on the journey for like the financial. So I'm thinking more about like when I had the whole doors opening. So I'm thinking about what am I gonna do as far as like career. So career and relationship are two of the things that I'm kind of sort of on the journey for right now, exploring.
Nice.
Really good.
I
Hey,
love
Bridget,
it.
I'm serious. Are you noticing what I'm noticing? Almost every other comment that comes out of his mouth includes some sort of reference to appreciation.
Yes, I know. And I love it. Seriously, I'm just
Oh,
soaking it all in. I feel like it, I'm just like, yeah, you are. Yeah, I love it because
well, thank
that's
you.
the main thing. When you appreciate it's just amazing and it makes everything beautiful. And I love hearing your story. So I could listen to you all day.
Oh, you guys are wonderful. I appreciate you.
Good.
Yay, this is fun. I'm like, I don't know if you,
I'm so glad you
I'm
came on.
nervous. I feel like I'm sweating. I'm usually the type of person that's always like cold. And I be sitting here working and I got my sweater on, my hat on. I'm sweating right now. And I don't know why, but I think I'm doing okay. I don't know why I'm talking about this right now.
That always happened to
Making
me,
sure.
but you get used to it. You get used to it. So it's awesome. Like you're just going into your fear and getting rid of it. You know what I mean? Like you're just stepping into more self-esteem and more self-confidence. And it just it's like working on every muscle that we work on, even in TYA. So seriously, you're amazing, dude. You rock. Like you don't even know how great you are. So yeah, you'll be good before you know it. You're already great in my eyes. So you'll be good in your own eyes before you know it.
I appreciate you so much. Thank you so much for that. I love that.
Yeah,
I was
seriously.
telling even Walt yesterday, even the comments was like, I'm a little nervous. I'm excited, but also nervous. And now I'm talking about me being nervous on air. So
How about
I think
that?
that's what the
Isn't that
I
nerves
think
interesting?
coming out next.
vulnerability is awesome. Like I love when people are vulnerable and just like their authentic self. Because if you're not, then what are we doing here?
Yeah,
I
you're
love
pretending
these
to be
chats.
something.
We are very, we're very real with each other. I love it. This is
Yeah, I
like the
like
best
that
part of
too.
my
I
day.
appreciate it too. Me too. Like
It's
I
one of
do.
the
Like
reasons we do
I
this.
literally just got off of work and I'd be sitting here listening to Walt in the show. I'd be like messaging, and I haven't heard anybody like. I usually like prefer watching it live. That way, I like interacting because getting
Mhm.
involved and sharing with you guys, and it's fun. I enjoy it so much.
Hey, but tell me about it. I mean, I enjoy it so much. That's why I do it. That's why I love interacting with the live streamers. I especially love the fact that we have so many podcast listeners, hundreds who've been listening now for in many cases many years, and they're wonderful. But by the same token, I love it when I get to interact with people.
Mhm.
I mean, when
That's
Janine
the
and
best
Bridget first
part.
came on for us, it was exciting to me. I know it was exciting to them. They went through the same thing that you're going through right now. It's nerves, right? You feel the nerves. But from my perspective, it's like, wow, I get to talk to these people who've been hearing me all these years. It's a
Yeah.
very nice.
Right.
And I wrote in like 3 times. So for
That's
me, it
great.
was even cooler. Yeah. Like I
Yeah.
wrote in to David, I think Dean, Rita. Yeah. It
Mhm.
was so for me, it was the best. Yeah.
It's funny too how the more that
Getting
you become
comfortable.
involved, the more you become involved. I mean, that's what you're experiencing right now, Luke. I mean, I'm not saying you're wanting to become a regular co-host, but you've experienced what it's like to keep taking those steps. It's like you're no longer sitting outside in the car trying to decide whether to go into the party. You've already decided you're going into the party, and now that you're going into the party, you're finding interesting things happening that you weren't expecting.
Yeah.
Right? Isn't that what
That
the
is
feeling
true.
is? All of a sudden, stuff's showing up that you didn't really think about before.
I didn't. I was at a ugly sweater party this past weekend, and I get there, and it's like all the most beautiful gay guys in Columbus, and I'm just like, how did I? And then I got so nervous. I'm just like, okay. I literally got on the phone. I walked outside, and one of my friends came in. He said he was out, and he told me where you at. I'm like, I'm at this party. He's like, where you at? I told him, he came over and he's like, oh my gosh, how'd you get invited to this party? These are like he's the one who made the comment. These are the hottest people of Columbus. I was like, oh, I don't know. I just was out with some friends and somehow I'm here. And he was just like, whoa. I was like, yay. But the thing is, me kind of being kind of new to the gay scene, like a lot of people didn't know me. So everybody was looking at me and I was like, oh my gosh, there's too many eyes on me. I got kind of nervous and I was like, I'm still gonna be here. I stayed there for a little bit, interacted for a little bit, but then I was like, I gotta go. This is a little bit at a time because that's too many at once.
Yeah, that's why you take steps.
But
That's
it was
why
a
we
good
take steps.
experience.
Yeah,
It's
a great
definitely,
experience.
getting out of my comfort zone. And this was one of the things. Like I've been interacting, chatting with you guys, uh, even in other chats as well. Just that's my, like you were saying, like sitting in the car. I didn't think about it that way, but that was me sitting in the car chatting with you guys. Like it's kind of cool
Yeah.
to be on there and just rather than chatting, just kind of get my perspective like this. So that's what we're getting to
Isn't
do
it
right now.
interesting too? Because you described how you somehow got drawn into the clique, the community, the cool people in the gay community.
The cool club, right?
And isn't it interesting as you get to know who these people really are, the whole cool thing just kind of disappears if it was there for you at all. And you basically, you're just finding who they are as people.
That's one of the most fascinating things that I'm finding, because all the people that I thought were like too beautiful for me, I would be too scared to talk to, and now I'm talking to them and I find out they have their own versions of their insecurities. They're not perfect either. Like from my perspective, I see them to be like this gorgeous, perfect beings. But when we talk, they are like so insecure about so many things, and I'm kind of being their coach. And I was like, "Oh my God, you're like gorgeous, da 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 da." And I'm sitting there, I was like, wait, these are the insecurities I have. Like this person has them too. So like that makes it so much easier just to talk to anybody. Like we're all human. Like why are we putting them on a pedestal? I don't know who he is or who they are. So I went to the host of the party and just told him, oh my gosh, this is a great party. I appreciate you. Like, I'm sorry I'm being I told him, I'm sorry I'm being antisocial. I'm a little nervous. I'm not used to this kind of crowd. He just started introducing me to everybody. And I was like, oh my gosh, I was just kind of letting you know this is how I feel. I didn't mean that, but he was just like, oh, come meet Luke. And I was like, oh, this is a lot. Like, okay, thank you. And then afterwards, when I left, he gave me like this sad look. You're leaving already? I was like, yeah, I don't know anybody here. And yeah, I'm gonna head out. But again, even the time that I was there, still to leave a little bit of an impression just by, I don't know. I don't feel like I did anything, just to interact with a few people, and it were just minor conversations, nothing to leave. But again, I think I don't give myself enough credit. Like even my little time, I might say something and then I'm like, oh, okay, he's different. Like he's different from the crowd. And I get that a lot in the community now. Like your mentality, the way you think is different, and it's fresh, something new. And I always appreciate that now. I was like, yeah, you're right. I am a unique person, and I do need to start accepting that. And it's wonderful to realize that and kind of get validation from others about it too.
Yeah, sure. Because really what you're talking about is the ability to be, what was the word we used before? Authentic, genuine.
Yeah.
You're being a genuine human being.
And embrace it.
And you're embracing it. Yeah, that's right. And when you do, I mean, that is, there are lots of cliches from over the years about what the new sexy is. That's really the new sexy.
I agree.
Being real. That's it's the sexy, it's the joyous, it's the happy. Take your favorite adjective and plug it in there. It's what it is, because anytime that you're genuine, people love it.
Yes.
They don't even know what it is necessarily that they're reacting to, but they know it's like you were describing before. You feel it deep down inside. It resonates. You know that it's right. You know that it feels good. You know that it's perfect for you. That's what happens to everybody else. They just don't know what it means. They don't know how it happened. It's just, who is this guy? This is really interesting. They can't piece it all together, but that's what's going on. They're dealing with somebody who's real, and that's not normal, interestingly enough.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Very true. Very true.
You would think it would be, but no, not so much.
I love what you said about the comfort zone too, because sorry.
What was it?
I love what you said about the comfort zone, like getting out of your comfort zone, because I feel like TYA just like totally helps you with that too, because it's like you do. And then, like Walt said, like a whole world of things open up that you weren't even, you let go of the fear, and then a whole world of things open up that you weren't expecting, thinking of even, or possibly thinking wasn't even, ever could happen or whatever, I love that.
Right.
I just feel like I've realized things like, you realize things like that you're doing, and you're like, okay, I totally would not have done this before TYA. You know what I mean? Like when you step out of your comfort zone and stuff. Like I've just realized things that I do, and I'm like, I wouldn't have done that before TYA.
Mm-hmm.
It's like BT.
Like I wouldn't have the confidence to do it. What'd you say?
I was like, it's like now life is like before TYA and after TYA. Like the difference where I'm always comparing it as well, and seeing the difference that TYA has created for me.
Yeah,
Even
it'll like pop up out of nowhere.
Appearance wise, even like one of the things I did while I was in TYA, I colored my hair purple. Like the craziest thing I'd probably say I'd ever done, but. And then that was just, I don't know what trigger, I can't remember why, but I think I just wanted to do something just different, because I never had a rebellious teenage stage. So I was like, you know what, this could be my version of rebellion. But it was very kind of
if
cool
Oxandy is tuning in, she's already on your side. She loves purple.
Yeah.
She does purple hair, she does purple clothing, she does purple everything. So she's totally on your side.
Yeah.
So you were super embracing.
Yeah, I sound like purple. I started like painting my nails just to see how that felt, because that's something I was always interested in. Like when women did it, I always thought it was like relaxing and soothing, and just sit there and paint it. And I did that, and it's a lot of work. I'm lazy, but sometimes I'll get on and do it. But again, I'm not afraid to do it. Like it was something I was too afraid to just put on nails. If I did delete it before I go out, now it's just on. I don't care. I have a nose ring on, which is considered feminine in the Muslim or the Pakistan community, but it's
Well, it looks
fashion
great
now.
on
It's
you.
just whatever. Oh, thank you. I like it too.
I'm curious to ask you something else too. We've been using the phrase comfort zone quite a bit, and of course it has very definite meaning for many people. In my world, in my own thought process, I don't think of it as a comfort zone. I think of it as a familiar zone, meaning it's what's very familiar to me, and it's not comfortable to me to be in a comfort zone.
Yeah, normally it's not.
I'm curious to know if that's
actually
your
a good way to
perception
look
at this point.
Yeah.
No,
Is that the way it seems to you?
because we call because like now that I think about it, comfort zone doesn't resonate, because comfort zone would be where you would be happy, but like a lot of times I was in my comfort zone. I was depressed. I was hoping for friends. I would pray to go out and do something, but then I wasn't brave enough to go and do any of that. So familiar zone very much resonates, actually, because it wasn't comfortable.
Yeah.
It was lonely.
Yeah. Isn't that an interesting thing?
So I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, me and my husband were saying the same thing the other day. We're like, oh my God, and it's really never comfortable when you're in your comfort zone ever.
No. The only thing that's comfortable about the comfort zone is the familiarity has a certain degree of comfort.
Yeah.
Meaning it's less uncomfortable than other things. And so by comparison, we say it's comfortable. It really isn't, but it's what we settled for because we figured that's all we could really get anyway. And then to discover that that's not true, that we could actually get more, that we could actually have it all, then all of a sudden comfort zone just doesn't work. That's when the whole thing starts to fall apart.
Not at all.
Yeah. So,
yeah, it's a
really
good realization when we realize we have more power than we ever give ourselves for it. Like synchronicities are another thing that's popping up, where you're seeing the dots connect. And it's like, oh my gosh, I thought about that, and here it is. So beautiful.
Oh, yeah. Another thing that strikes me about your story is that so many people discover that they have low self-esteem. And statistically, the vast majority of the population worldwide has low self-esteem. So this is not an unusual phenomenon. But nevertheless, it is a significant problem. And people, when they finally realize and recognize that they've got it, then they're trying to figure out, how to build themselves up. And there are practices you can do. I've engaged in mirror work myself, and I love mirror work for that. And there are other things you can do. But you actually did it the more pure TYA way. You didn't try to figure out a way to build yourself up. You just let go of stuff. I wanted to ask you about that experience, because I don't know if you ever thought in terms of trying to improve your self-esteem, but I'm kind of guessing you didn't. I'm kind of guessing that really wasn't part of
No.
the thought process at all, because you just didn't go there. And look what happened. It happened anyway.
Yeah. I think the first person I literally had to stand up to was my ex-wife, because I didn't realize how much of a coward I was the whole time I was with her, because I was always trying to please her, put on a pedestal. Because I thought I was going to hell for being gay, and she was a religious woman, so I thought she was going to take me to heaven. So I was giving her all this power and trying to like please her and make sure she's happy and everything. And I think when she realized that, like she didn't, I don't think she appreciated any of it. Like she just kind of got the power hungry, like, oh, I got my control of this guy. And I think when I started standing up to her, like when I would just say no, that was like I was scared when I've never admitted to this, but I would be scared when I would say no. But now, like, those are the things that allowed me to, like, okay, if I could survive that, I could survive anybody. Like, she was basically one of my biggest transgressors, or a video game boss, if you will, that I had to overcome. And when I overcame that, like, now I have love and appreciation for her for being for my daughter's mom and giving birth to my daughter. So if I could find that for her, if I could do that for her, I could do that for anybody. So that's
kinda
another
great.
reason for me to have appreciation for her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is, well, that's part of what the TYA concept is. If you can not knock down, but if you can overcome and detune, to use the terminology, detune the major transgressors, the minor ones seem puny by comparison. That's the source energy perspective, right?
It really
That's the
is.
perspective that says,
And
well, heck,
seeing her through the eyes of Source was another one, because when I did the meditation through the eyes of Source and I asked them, like, what do you think about her? And they had nothing but love for her. I was like, oh, what? If Source loves her, who am I to sit here and hate her? So, let me just find those things that Source sees, and those are things I saw in her. So I was like, good.
It reminds
I
me of
love
something.
that.
It reminds me of something that I discussed with Selena Dorsey yesterday when she was on the show. She was talking about her background growing up in New York City, and how Frank Sinatra's song really describes what it's like to live in New York. If I can make it there, I can make it anywhere. Well, it's the same concept, just applied in a different arena. If I can make it, of finding a way to appreciate my ex-wife, I can make it appreciating anything. It's the same idea.
Anybody, anything. Yeah, absolutely. So for that, like, again, I manifested her to have that experience to use for editing and everything. She's a part of my
created
journey.
your own New York.
Absolutely, New York, New York.
That is fabulous.
But
I have to admit, I'm not sure where else to go for questions, Bridge. What are you thinking? Anything else you want to get out of Luq before we run out of time on the show?
I don't know. I'm fascinated with your story. I loved everything that you shared, and I just love how real and open that you were with us. I love it. I just love that you came on too, because I obviously have seen you, through boot camp and whatnot, being a mentor. So I was super excited that you were coming on. I was like, "Ooh, this will be fun."
Yeah, so, I agree with that.
Yeah, I'm gonna get Sam to get on here too. I don't know if he'll be open to that. I'm just putting this out there. I know he's here. I'm about to go hang out with him after this. He lives here in the same city, and see if we can get him and have a little party over here too.
Okay, yeah, your signal kind of broke up, so I'm not sure who it was you were talking about.
Oh, Sam from like TYA, Sam Page.
Oh no! Okay. Oh, that's cool.
He's in the live stream. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
Oh, we're about to hang out right after this. We're gonna go watch some anime and go to a cafe and get some pastries. And he's my 5D friend. Like, let me share my story about Sam actually. So Sam is somebody that I met back in 2012, right? And that was the first time I came out. And the first time I came out, my family didn't accept me, so I was still trying to do my own thing, but then I was still kind of judging it. So I was kind of on the DL, like I'm gay, but not really, like nobody knows. So I went out with Sam. We went to the movies. We watched the movie Sucker Punch, and Sam's personality was a lot more vibrant than mine. And I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know. I got like embarrassed at that time. I was like kind of homophobic-ish, and I was gay, but I was still kind of trying to figure out. So I was like, okay, this isn't gonna work. So after that one date, we kind of didn't really even we kind of drifted apart. I ended up getting married, and 8 years later, he adds me on Instagram, and I was like, "Ooh, who's this cute boy?" And I just kind of like add him, beautiful blue eyes, and I look. I was like, "He looks familiar." So like we started chatting, and I asked him, "Hey, did we go to the movies back in 2012?" And he's like, "I was thinking the same thing." And I was like, "Oh my god." So like we start like talking to each other, and we're like going on a few dates. I was like, "Oh my gosh." But after a few days, we find out like, we have this beautiful connection, but there's like no it was just awkward when it came to like more than that. So I was like, I think we're just supposed to be like good friends. Like we don't need to like go any further. Just because two gay guys are hanging out doesn't mean we have to like date or be boyfriends. And we both kind of opened up, and like since then, like he's become like my best friend, and he went through the TYA journey. I kind of like mentored him on the side, like not officially, but we would just he would always talk about his journey, and now it's nice to have like a TYA friend in the city, and we go and do things, and we call each other the 5D friends, how we manifested each other like 8 years later, and we're still like, we're besties now. I love him.
That's incredible. Like that is absolutely, that is so cool.
That's cool. That's a great story.
It's such a beautiful manifestation he is.
And even more so, it's a manifestation that you're able to experience not in the internet world. You can actually bring it to the offline world. I mean, of all the people who I did a show with, I can point to one, Alex Standy, just because she lives relatively nearby. Everybody else for me is a virtual friend. And I know how fun it was the couple times, plus I got to be at her wedding, to actually interact with her in the quote real world, unquote. It's a different experience, and it's fun. It's enjoyable. I'm sure that's what you're experiencing with Samuel.
It is a different experience. It is, and next month I get to see more of the TYA people. Me and Sam are both going to LA for the TYA LA Ascension. So it'll be nice to meet David and Stacy and Carrie, all of them, whoever's going to be there. I'm so excited. We already got our tickets. We already got our plane tickets. We're just like, we're already like using that trip, like already, because we're going to be there for the weekend, and like, let's get like a Airbnb. Let's just like see who else is going to be there, get a TYA house and have a TYA party, like go to like the bar afterwards, just to have a TYA weekend. Like I am just like, let's just do a TYA weekend. It'll be fun.
Have you ever been to LA?
No, so it'll be like an exciting experience just for that. At Sam's, I don't know if Sam's been to LA, but I know he's been to California somewhere. But yeah, it'll be nice to get out of this cold for a little bit too.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Really, really great. Well, we should wrap up here. First and foremost, since you are a member of the TYA community, and since you are starting to grow out into a larger world, as a mentor and then eventually as a coach, we should probably give people a way to reach out to you. So how do people find Luq Murtaza? Excuse me, I mispronounced.
Right now on Facebook, it's a Murtaza. I'm actually going to go ahead and actually correct this right away. So it'll just be Luq Murtaza. As of right now, it's Azatram, which is just Murtaza backwards. And I'm on Instagram, LUQ003. That's basically my thing for everything, LUQ003 or Luq Murtaza on Facebook.
All right.
Yeah.
Very good. Well, thank you for taking the time to join us and share your story. I think we're all inspired here. Bridget's just glowing. She's just really excited.
Yeah, I'm so glad you came on.
It's my pleasure. I had a great time. Thank you so much for having me. This has been a great experience for me as well. Thank you.
We appreciate that. And thank you to our podcast listeners everywhere. We will see you all next time here on LOA Today. Goodbye, everybody.